Hi, I'm Leafy, and I'm also arguing with Madison to keep the death penalty in the U.S. I'd first like to start off by discussing the costs. Both our opponents discussed over and over that it was extremely expensive to have the death penalty, but left out that it's not actually the cost of the execution. It is the constant appeals and the trials that cost us all this money. And the main cost goes toward lawyers and attorneys because death row inmates require better and more expensive lawyers than any other criminals. Therefore, that's where most of the money goes to, and not the actual execution, as Madison stated previously. Our opponents also argued that this was a moral issue, and I just want to start off by saying morality is defined as of relating to or concerned with the principles of rules of right and wrong, and to conduct the distinction between them. I just want to say morality is shaped by your own life, and your moral compass is dictated by your friends, your family, your school, your religion. Therefore, who's to say what's right and wrong, objectively? And also, although it's a big issue, we think morality is a big issue when it comes to the death penalty. Actually, 61% of Americans view the death penalty as an acceptable form of punishment for most heinous crimes. And Americans also support the death penalty in a 2-to-1 ratio for murder cases, according to the Daily Signal. And therefore, it's not as big of a moral debate as our opponents have made it seem. And also, when it comes to the victims, is that not also a moral issue? Because in Orlando, there was a girl abducted, raped, beaten, and murdered, and she was only 16 years old. So should her attacker not receive the death penalty when this girl had a long life to live, and she suffered and died at the hands of this man? And the death penalty also gives people the clarity and closure to move forward from the attacks and the incidents they go through. And according to CNN.com, in 2013, when the Boston bomber set off a bomb, an officer, Richard Doon, was severely injured during that incident. And he explained that the sentencing of the Boston bomber and the fact that he was executed brought relief and closure, along with the ability to move on forward with his life. So in my opinion, and the opinions of the victims, it brings closure for the victims, and therefore you can't really argue it's immoral for their instance. You also argued that it does not deter crime when it actually has been proven that it does. In 2003, a study by Emerson University showed more than 3,000 counties were tested from 1977 to 1976, and they found that with each execution, it resulted in a decrease of murders by 18, to be exact. And then also data from all 50 states from 1978 to 1997 showed execution deterred an average of 14 murders annually. My opponent also argued that this was a socioeconomic issue, but continued to state that it was actually also a mental issue. But this does not really correlate, because if it's a socioeconomic issue, anyone within any socioeconomic state can have a mental disability or mental issues. So it's not really a socioeconomic issue. They also argued that it was racially driven, but actually the race of the victims on the death penalty case, there's 76% of them are white, 15% are black, 6% are Hispanic, and then 3 are other. And the defendants actually executed are 56% black, when my opponent stated that blacks were more likely to be executed. only 35% are black, and then 8% Hispanic. Currently, on the list of federal death row prisoners, it's actually half and half. There's 26 black people on death row and 26 white. And then you also stated that the jury plays a big role, but actually, according to the academic.com, the Quarterly Journal of Economics, it also believes that though race appears to play a role in the persecutors' and defenders' use of primarily challenges, studies have also shown that the opposing challenges cancel each other out in the sense that there's no overall effect on the racial composition of the jury. And also, to add to that, the number of exonerations is higher for black people than it is for whites, and even though you stated that blacks are going to be more hurt because of the death penalty, there's been 84 exonerations for black people and 62 exonerations for white. Therefore, black people are not more, they're not going to be hurt more than other races when it comes to this. And currently, actually, the last 3 people that were executed in federal death row are Timothy McVeigh, who's white, Juan Garza, who's Latino, and Lewis Jones, black, who is Lewis Jones, who's black. Therefore, I think it's very hard to state that blacks are going to be more hurt with the death penalty than any other race.